He didn't know that they're buying women for recruits. He didn't know that Adidas was giving them money. He didn't know anything about this basketball team. He didn't even know the people he was recruiting.
Made up in people's minds. I don't know a thing about Virgil. Not one thing. But if you asked anybody in this group, they know every thing about him.
This podcast right here is going to end up with more cuts than Trump's tax plan. I don't know what you want from me.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Man-to-Man Podcast, previously known as the Bandwagon Podcast. Today we have a few things we're going to talk about. Going to talk a little college basketball, talk about the college football playoff rankings. Has had a team go down this week, and so let's just dive right into it. So we found out there's been an update on the whole Rick Pitino Louisville situation with Adidas, and so tell us about what the update is, Christ.
Yeah, so Rick Pitino has been going on for weeks about how he was just shocked and appalled that anything wrong could have happened at the University of Louisville under his watch. He didn't know that they was buying women for recruits. He didn't know that Adidas was giving them money. He didn't know anything about this basketball team. He didn't even know the people he was recruiting. But it comes out that Adidas has told the FBI that not only did he know, he was a big player, that he was the guy funneling the money. This guy here wakes up every morning and is just absolutely blindsided by the most simple facts of life. He's shocked that the sky is blue, the grass is green. He's just shocked. I cannot believe that Rick Pitino. I can't believe it. What's going on with this guy, dude? If you told me 10 years ago that Rick Pitino would have ended up as the dirtiest scumbag in college basketball, and Calipari would be running a clean program, and that Kentucky fans would love Calipari more than Pitino, I would have believed every word of that. Because that's absolutely what's been going on forever. You told me to go off on something, and I went off on something. Are you happy now?
That is Christian Allen, the go-off guy.
Don't call me the go-off guy.
Newly named the go-off guy here on Man-to-Man Podcast.
I got something to talk about. I'd like everybody to notice how Rick Pitino and Pat Riley look like mafia bosses. I'm just throwing that out there. What?
You don't think Calipari could be a mafia boss?
I don't think he's skinny enough. I think he's got to be.
He's got a mafia boss name. John Calipari.
He's got the pinstripe suits, the slick back hair.
Yeah, but Pat Riley and Rick Pitino both look like they could have 50 men killed a night, and you'd never hear about it.
Rick Pitino would be shocked if he had somebody killed.
Right?
Rick Pitino is shocked that he was aware of the schemes that was going on in the Louisville scandal.
Apparently, Rick Pitino was shocked that he was even coaching basketball for the past decade and a half. I'm Harris. That guy, not only does he look like a mafia boss, he looks like a vampire at the same time. Have you seen the guy lately?
He's always looked that way, ain't he?
No, he looked healthy at Kentucky.
Does he have a different hairstyle? I don't think so.
No, he's got the same hairstyle. It's just that he's paler than me.
All right, so now let's get away from basketball a little bit. Let's talk some football. So, Christ, you were at the game Saturday, the Kentucky Louisville game, that is. Tell me about the fight.
Football fight. Let me tell you about the football fight. I've seen nothing but people on Twitter and KSR and all these other places talk about how embarrassed we are of the football team because they got beat 44-17 by Louisville. I think everybody expected that going in. What we didn't expect was for an all-out brawl to take place right before halftime. And people saying that's embarrassing. We shouldn't be out there fighting. We shouldn't be throwing garbage cans. You want to know what I say? I say that Lamar Jackson, the golden boy over here, started shoving people around on our sideline in our house, just causing a ruckus. And Jordan Jones had enough of it and put him on his picture in the Kentucky Hall of Fame. And the garbage can that he hit over the head of that Louisville guy, that needs to be in the Kentucky Hall of Fame. Right. They started the fight. You can't, if you're going to lose the game, you got to win the fight. You can't lose both of them. And Denzel Ware made sure we won the fight.
All right, so I didn't see this. All right, I didn't see this. You sent me a video. I kind of looked at it real fast, but there was no one ejected, right?
Nobody got ejected.
How does that happen?
Because Lamar Jackson was part of it. If you ejected anybody, you got to eject Lamar.
Yeah, but still, somebody's got to be ejected in that.
It was a close game when this happened, too. So, I mean, if they had ejected Lamar, we might have had a shot at him. Can't let that happen.
Do you have something to say, Harris?
I mean, this is football, boys. Do we know what sport that we're watching here?
That's right. It's a contact sport.
Yeah, but I mean,
you're supposed to hit people.
You got a guy body slamming somebody over here.
Well, don't get in his face.
I do believe there's a fight that happens in an NFL game just about every week.
Yeah. What happened in the NFL this week?
It's bound to happen because you've got a bunch of people being rough all the time. So they get aggravated and irritated.
Yeah, it's going to happen. I'm talking about a body slam. I mean, not.
The Rock played at Miami. He was a hurricane.
That's right. Let me tell you something.
Miami could have used him over the weekend.
Yeah, Miami could have used him. Lord have mercy.
Right.
Lost to Pittsburgh.
What's Miami's record?
10-2,
10-2,
something
10-1.
10-1.
Yeah.
They only played 11 games.
So
I think that's got to hurt them. That you only played 11 regular season games. That's got to hurt you.
So like I was saying before my segue was rudely interrupted, let's talk about the college football playoffs.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it, man. That's where it's at. Miami loses at Pittsburgh. All right. One of the four.
If anybody wants to go,
in my playoff.
If anybody wants to go to the website or Twitter page that gets us your website and look at their predictions, I think everybody will see that so far my predictions are going to plan.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about that. All right.
Tell me about it.
So me and you had the same prediction.
Right?
All right.
Because it's right. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it was the right prediction. But, I mean, I thought, I can't have the same prediction as Christ. So what I do, I go look at it. All right? I go against my gut, and I take Miami.
That's your problem, son. Christ has the answers. You always got to remember that.
I mean, how do you lose at Pittsburgh?
Because you're more correct, man. That's what he does. That's what he did at Georgia. That's what he's doing at Miami.
I mean, you haven't lost all year. You're finally in the playoffs, as far as rankings go.
I mean, they could still get in. They just got to beat Clemson.
It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard.
I mean, it really. I don't think so. I think they beat Clemson. They're in.
So you think number 7 beats?
I think they spent the whole game telling Jalen Hurts, Mr. Clutch, and he got shook.
He did.
Probably hurt him. Probably bothered him.
Yeah, got shook.
So as it stands today, we need to update that blog, by the way. But as it stands today,
I'm right.
Well, I need to update it. I got Clemson, Oklahoma, Auburn, and Bama.
Yeah, I'm sticking with what I said.
Bama.
So I don't.
Bama can still get in.
So you're saying, okay.
I'm saying Ohio State's gonna beat Wisconsin. Ohio State's not getting in. They got 2 losses. On that. Wisconsin's not gonna beat Ohio.
Wisconsin's done. They shouldn't even be there. They're not.
Clemson's gonna beat Miami. Clemson's solid. Oklahoma's gonna beat TCU. Oklahoma's solid. Auburn's gonna beat Georgia. Auburn goes in as the first 2 loss team makes playoff.
Okay, so you think that Miami beating Clemson is enough to catapult them past Alabama?
Yeah. You got a 1-loss conference champion against a 1-loss team that didn't win their conference.
Okay.
Conference champion wins.
Okay.
Who's Miami? Hold on, let me see who Miami played.
Well, they beat
Miami
Notre
ain't played
Dame.
nobody. They beat Notre Dame.
They beat Notre Dame decisively.
I don't think that's all that great a win.
But I think Alabama, if they beat Clemson, that'd be a good win. I mean, that'd be a great win.
That's a good win, but I mean, you played Florida State close, you played Georgia Tech close, you played North Carolina
I feel
close.
like that
Lost
Auburn
to
loss
Pittsburgh.
is not a bad loss for Alabama.
That's a good loss. That's as good a loss you're gonna get.
So I think they're gonna go with Saban, even if Miami wins. If Miami beats Clemson, I still think Bama's in.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, I think people's
Am
talked
I
about
gonna have
how
to change
weak.
it again?
People has talked about how weak Bama's schedule is, but Bama's schedule compared to Miami's schedule looks pretty good.
But look at how they beat people. They've steamrolled
Yeah,
the competition.
that's what I'm saying. If you like, Miami struggled with some teams that's not even gonna make bowl games.
And I mean, you can talk all this stuff about, how they evaluate these teams, what they look at, but at the end of the day, it's got to be in the back of their head. Nick Saban and Alabama. You know what I'm saying? It's got to be in the back of their mind. Has Alabama not been in a playoff in the last 3 years, 4 years?
I doubt it.
I think so. They won last year, right? Yeah,
No, Clemson beat them
no, they
last year.
lost. Ohio State won. Ohio State beat them. Then they beat Clemson. Then Clemson beat them.
Have they ever not been in a?
No, I don't think. I think they've been in them all.
So they've been in every playoff ever.
So it's really just about tradition.
Yeah, I mean, do you think tradition's going to play into it?
I tell you, what's going to hurt Miami and Ohio State and all these other shocks that's going to be looking for a chance to get in past Bama is that as long as Clemson wins out and stays number one, you're looking at a Clemson-Alabama rematch in the first round
Oh.
and the possibility of setting up an Iron Bowl rematch for the national championship game.
Oh man.
As much as we want to talk about integrity in college sports, what it boils down to is money, and those are money games.
It's a good
People
point.
are going to tune in to see those games.
No
So
doubt.
You think an
Storylines.
Auburn Alabama rematch is more desirable than a Clemson Alabama title rematch?
I know that Auburn and Alabama was the most watched football game this year. It's usually the most watched football game every year. And if they play for a national championship game, the state of Alabama might tear itself apart before it ever takes place. So, yeah, I think that's a more desirable match.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
Paul Feinbaum show would get really interesting.
The Paul Feinbaum show would be amazing. Let me tell you something. I'd rather watch the Paul Feinbaum show leading up to the game than the actual game.
So you guys are saying that you'd rather see them in the first game than the title game, right?
I'm saying you get it both ways if Alabama gets in at 4, because then you get the Clemson-Alabama rematch. And then even if Clemson this year and it was a touchdown game, Clemson beat them by 8 points. So, I mean, I feel like that's a game that people's going to tune in to want to see too.
So you think there's zero chance Wisconsin wins?
I don't think there's ever a zero chance
Well,
that
I mean,
anything doesn't
you
take
really
place.
think it's
I
unlikely?
think if I had a gun to my head, pick the winner, I'm taking Ohio State.
Where's this game being played at?
I think it's in Indianapolis.
My gut says Ohio State. Like I just don't have confidence in Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's in Indianapolis. What it boils down to is you've got a team that's been there before with a coach who's used to playing in those sort of games, compared to a team who they're not used to that. I mean,
Yeah, the moment can definitely catch up
that's
to
a
you.
win
We've
for
seen it.
Miami for Ohio State to get in.
You think Georgia has to win?
Yeah, because if Auburn
beat Auburn.
if Auburn wins, Auburn's going in, and they're not going to put two lost teams in the playoff.
Okay.
I think Georgia has to win. They have to beat Wisconsin impressively. TCU probably needs to beat Oklahoma, and then Clemson probably needs to beat Miami.
And you think Ohio State's in at that point?
Then I think at that point Ohio State finds a way in. I don't see them taking two lost teams. Actually, in that scenario, they have to take two lost teams. So maybe that's what Ohio State wants.
Well, if all the best teams beat the best teams, then it doesn't really matter if they're 2 lost teams.
You need upsets is what you need. You need Georgia upsetting Auburn. You need TCU upsetting Oklahoma. And then I really don't think the ACC game matters one way or the other. You probably got a better shot at getting in over Miami or getting in. You got a better shot if Miami gets beat.
Loses, yeah.
Yeah, because if Miami wins, then you got to go up against the two-loss Clemson
So
team
you're
that's a
hoping
defending national
you're
champion.
hoping for upsets against everybody except
Clemson.
ACC game. You want chalk in the ACC.
You want Clemson to win and everybody else to lose. It's weird saying chalk in the SEC game, though, because Georgia's got one loss and Auburn's got two. But Auburn beat them pretty convincingly the first go round.
I don't think Auburn has a chance. Matter of fact, I'd like to see what the money line is in that game.
You don't think Auburn has a chance?
And I don't think Georgia has a chance.
Yeah, I don't either. Georgia has put themselves in a hole.
Just watching, bits and pieces of that game.
They looked rough.
And as good as Auburn looked against Alabama, I think Auburn's your champion, honestly.
Auburn's hot right now. Man, let me tell you something. When I watch Oklahoma, I think, man, Oklahoma looks good. But I have never seen a Big 12 team fare well in these big bowl games. It just seems like their offense can't put up good enough numbers against a good defense, and their defense can't stop anybody.
Yeah, I think that's a good analysis. It's been that way as long as I can remember. Watching any important game in college football that involved a Big 12 team and an SEC team. All the way back to Texas and Alabama. They didn't have a chance.
You probably have to go back to like Vince Young's Texas team to find
That's
out.
what I was thinking.
Or you could look at the Oregon game years back.
Right.
Everybody was really high in Oregon, and they got in the title game. What did they do? They got rolled over.
That's
They were fun to
happened.
watch.
That's
Oh,
happened
yeah.
to Oregon a couple times.
They were fun to watch, that Mariota team.
That's why I think these committees they should definitely focus less on maybe resume and just who the best four teams are, because sometimes the best teams aren't always going to look pretty or have the best records, but they're going to be the best teams.
I think that there has to be part of that, but I mean at the end you're going to have something. Records are going to have to mean something, and who you beat's going to have to mean something.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
feel like you can take like just an off game and you get beat by a really good opponent. But if it's something that's like consistently you've had a problem with.
Sure. Yeah, I can't imagine a world where a team with more than 2 losses ever gets into the title game.
It's going to happen this year.
Unless
You see a 3-loss team getting in?
unless 2 of maybe the 3 teams were the other playoff teams.
Oh, did you
It'd
say
have
3?
Yeah, it'd
Oh,
have
yeah.
to be a year like 2007 when LSU got to the BCS game with 2 losses. Where
Right.
just nobody came out of that alive. It was just a meat grinder.
And that was just more of a year of everybody being more mediocre than
Right.
nobody being that good.
Even Kentucky beat some really good teams that year.
Yeah.
So me and Crass got to spend Sunday's game against UIC in the eruption zone. And how do we look Sunday night, Crass?
I think we're getting better every game.
Well, when you play a team like that, I don't know how much you can analyze and take away from it, but
Well, I tell you what, we've been playing teams like that for about a month and ain't been looking too hot. So
Well,
all right. Well,
I agree.
that's what you can take away from it,
I agree.
But as Kentucky plays more elite teams, what do you expect?
I expect the defense to get better because we still look pretty rough on
Is
defense.
that an expectation or a hope?
A little bit of both.
All right.
What do you think the main problem for the Wildcats is on defense?
Everything.
They can't stay in front of anybody.
They can't guard their yard. They can't
Basic
hit the glass.
defensive principles.
It's like
They struggle with ball screens.
the only time that we really get anything off our defense is when we go zone.
Mm.
And Cal has this thing against zone, He's always about getting people to the NBA, or at least looking like he's trying to get people to the NBA. And NBA's never plays zone, so
I mean, I don't like a zone either, but
well, I mean, if you don't have to play it, it's fine. But I think this year
we kind of got to play it.
I mean, you
We
got
need
to.
we got to play it at least until we're steady enough in man to man.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I understand what Cal's trying to do, preparing these guys for the NBA, but at the end of the day, his job is to win at Kentucky.
Of course.
So
you want to play a zone whenever individually you're failing to match up man to man. So if you lack speed or you lack athleticism, you need to play a zone.
that's the thing that confuses me, though, because we do not lack any of those things.
No,
If you look at our roster, we're long and we're athletic, and we should be able to play man to man better than we are.
Well, the other aspect of man to man too is that everybody on the floor has to understand how to switch and how to communicate. And if you don't do that well, then it can really kill man to man defense
I think
too.
that is probably what we're seeing.
Yeah.
Is the problem just communication?
We
always have trouble in the beginning of the
season, especially with freshmen, and where
'Cause,
this team's so young.
Yep.
Yeah.
You gotta think about it. These guys were just playing high school ball. I mean,
yeah,
not even a year ago.
And most of them were the focal point on the teams.
Most of them didn't have to put out 100% effort to be killer on the defensive end either.
Right. It's definitely a transition for a lot of these top high school players to come into college.
For a guy like Diallo, I mean, he spent the better part of last year guarding De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk in practice. This guy should be ready to guard. I mean, anybody.
That's a good point. These are world-class athletes, very fast guards.
We're talking about an uber athletic 6'5" guard with a 7-foot wingspan
and an afro.
Aerodynamics.
Yeah.
And another thing about a zone, a lot of people don't even think about is, it kind of takes away. You're not really chasing one guy all around the floor, so you should have more energy on offense. And it should translate into that. But
I think we forced more turnovers out of the zone.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
I'll tell you another drawback from the zone for us though. We struggle keeping guys off the offensive glass, and that's going to be harder to do in a zone.
Yeah, that's the one aspect of a zone where communication is even more important, because boxing out priorities. Sometimes players get confused about who's boxing out who,
And
so it's easy to give up boards.
This team has really struggled to rebound. I mean, we've been beat by a few teams that shouldn't be beating us in rebounds. So
the best rebounding performance they've had was the second half against Kansas.
Yeah, because
the only problem with that is the first half against Kansas.
Yeah, it was a complete turnaround in that second game.
Second half,
yeah.
I think the offense is looking better too.
It is. There's been a couple guys knocking down some outside shots.
Quade Green's really come along on the offensive end.
Yeah, he's doing well. I think he'll be real good by the time the season's over.
Alexander's showing a little bit of improvement.
Yeah, you always want to see on these teams an average shooter at least, because once you get into, everybody wants to play a zone, you need a good shooter.
Yeah.
So what's the news on Jared Vanderbilt? Is he coming back, or?
He was supposed to be ready by like mid-December, but I've read reports that he's not where he should be. So it might be delayed until maybe January.
Will he bring anything that this team ain't already got?
I was just thinking, man. I mean, if anything, he's spent the last 2 months not playing with these guys. So if you throw in some of the communication trouble they're already having on the defensive end, and you throw in a guy who's all new to him, I mean, it could get worse before it gets better.
That was kind of the thought behind leaving Hammy out during that second semester
Right.
of last year, because
Right.
you really didn't want to insert somebody into the team and mess up the rotation.
lose what you had going.
So I really don't know what the mindset is there. Do we even see him at Kentucky?
Oh, I think so. He'll play.
Today, November 29th, where do you guys see Kentucky seated when it comes time for the playoffs?
I see them right now as a 4, maybe 3.
Yeah, I see this as a 3.
With number 1 Duke, number 2 North Carolina, and an extra number 2 seed or number 1 seed in our
We'll have Wichita
No, we can't be in the
State.
same bracket with Duke because Duke always gets the easiest bracket.
We'll have Wichita State in the second round, no matter how good they play this year.
Yeah.
We'll definitely get North Carolina in our bracket.
Yeah, North Carolina bring back the old Michael Jordan for that game.
They're going to clone
Sailing
him.
is the roof.
They're going to clone him and bring back the young Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And the NCAA is not going to say anything because it's North
NCAA is going
Carolina.
to fund it. They're going to fund the cloning.
Rick Pitino's going to fund it.
Rick Pitino is going to be shocked that North Carolina has a basketball team. I think we still got. I think this team can still make a run to a Final Four. I don't know if they can win it, but they can make a run.
I don't know. I don't think they can, man.
You don't think they can?
Actually,
I think
they
it's
can.
fair.
I think they can.
Yeah. If you look at our schedule, I'll tell you this is something that other Kentucky teams has not really had. Because most of the time, our schedule's front-loaded because we play in a weaker conference. So we get killed by a lot of our out-of-conference opponents, and then we don't really learn anything from it, and then we get to play these cupcakes through the SEC. But this year, I think we've got a chance. We've got to play A&M. They look like they could be
Final
a top
14.
5 team right now. Florida might be the best team in the country. We play them twice. You got a chance to play West Virginia on the road. You get Louisville in Rupp. You get UCLA on a neutral floor. We've got opportunities throughout the year to pick up big wins. Missouri is still a good team. Even without Michael Porter, they're a team that could give us trouble.
I haven't seen Florida, but I think Texas A&M is a Final Four team. Like they have a well-rounded team.
If I had to pick my champion today, I am picking Florida.
Really?
Florida's good.
Over
Florida's really good. Let me tell you something. They got that 9th-year senior, Chioza, out there, and he does not miss.
He was good last year.
He's better this year. He's gonna be a Player of the Year candidate.
All right, so we're talking about Florida. All right, I'm just
I
throwing
reckon.
this in. All right, I'm just throwing this in. What is the chance? Me and you was talking about this on the way up to Rupp the other day. What is the chance that Billy Donovan is the next coach of the Kentucky Wildcats?
Well, I think what you first got to do is you got to establish who's out there who would be on our wish list.
I mean, you got to have some prior knowledge of the whole coaching search and Billy Donovan, Kentucky, to even understand that question. Because we went after Billy Donovan twice.
And both times we had sightings in Lexington.
Yeah, both times people just seen Billy Donovan in different places. More sightings of Billy Donovan in Lexington than there were sightings of Bigfoot in history.
We had calls from Bluegrass Airport that their cousin was a pilot that's flying him in right now. We had waiters at every restaurant in Lexington saying he was eating lunch, meeting with Mitch Barnhart. I kind of miss those times. I don't ever want Calipari to leave. Let me just throw that out there.
I know what you
mean. But
mean.
I love a good coaching search.
I know what you mean. That was also Rick Barnes ended up turning us down.
Rick Barnes,
when he was
Billy Donovan, and Rick Barnes both turned us down in 48 hours. That was after Kentucky. Kentucky went almost 100 years without anybody ever turning us down, and we got turned down twice. And then we went with our sure thing, Billy G.
Yeah, the gym. We got the gym right there. But back to the question. Do you see Billy Donovan at Kentucky ever?
I think it could happen, but you gotta go. Who's on the wish list? Let's start with that first. If Calipari says he's going to retire at the end of the season, who's the guys we put on the wish list that we want to see us talk to?
Well, you know Brad Stevens has always been my number one, but he ain't going nowhere.
Brad Stevens is not going nowhere unless something dramatically changes in Boston.
He's where he's going to be.
No, he's having a lot of success.
But man, I don't even know. I mean,
Well, everybody always wanted Tom Izzo, but can't
Tom
imagine
Izzo.
that he's leaving Michigan
At
State.
this age, there's no way you're going to get Tom Izzo. I don't even know that I would want Izzo at Kentucky now anyway.
Afraid he's going to die on you.
I take Izzo anytime he wanted to come.
I don't know.
I love Izzo.
I would if we had a coaching search today and we got Tom Izzo, I don't think I would be as excited.
I remember it must have been like about 13, 14 years ago now, but I remember my teacher in 6th grade in social studies said that he was the best on-court coach in basketball. You guys still think that's true?
I agree with that. Maybe Coach K.
I think Coach K is the best basketball coach who's ever lived.
Big words.
Easy.
I'm telling you.
Easy.
When you throw in how he's been able to adapt to the game over the last 3 decades, and you're hard pressed to find a year where he's not been successful. Coach K is the best. I'll say he's the best college coach that has ever stepped on the floor.
Do you hear the words that are coming out of your mouth?
Yeah, I do, and I mean every one of them.
Speaking in terms of adaptability, I think you could compare Coach K to somebody like Greg Popovich in the NBA, who's had success in 3 different decades now and has adapted to the changes of basketball very well.
Just look at how the game has changed since Mike Krzyzewski come to now.
I wish he'd stay away from the one and dones because he's killing us in recruiting.
Yeah, but look how quickly he turned into that. Like he went from
2 seasons.
In 2 years he was able to just dominate the game. But I think if we're making a short list for the next coach of Kentucky, I think Greg Marshall at Wichita State's got to be on it.
I see that.
Sean Miller at Alexander, Arizona. At Alexander.
Cut your list short.
Go ahead.
But this guy at Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I think if we give him a few years and he's still going on the trajectory that we see him going now, he could get a call. Mike White could get a call. Not the principal, the Florida coach.
We had a high school principal whose name was Mike White.
Yeah.
Kind of mysteriously disappeared, to be honest.
Yeah,
so
around the time that Billy Donovan left Florida.
Yeah. Might be the same guy. I never know.
How about? I got one for you. Number 1 on the list, easy. Coach Ivy Birchall.
You know,
I take Birchall.
I'll tell you something about Birchall. I've been to quite a few high school games, and there's nobody in the history of basketball, period, coach, player, GM, fan even, who sits and talks to themselves as much as Birchall does.
And he probably can't understand himself. Like just talking to himself.
I've seen him sit on the bench and get his blood pressure so high that you could say how red his face gets.
For those of you that don't know, Coach Ivy Birchall is a girls basketball coach that followed us from middle school to high school, and he talks like this, you know.
He's my hero, man.
He's everybody's hero.
He's pretty iconic, especially in our friends.
He's iconic. You know what makes him iconic? Because the thing about icons is a lot of what they are is kind of made up in people's minds. I don't know a thing about Birchall. Not one thing. But if you asked anybody in this group, they know every damn thing about him.
He was also the tennis coach. And Jake Smith said he seen him beat the wall at tennis practice one day.
Birchall expects a lot of himself. I'd like to think. We expect a lot of him.
Maybe one day we can get Birchall as a guest.
That would be great. One day we will have Coach Ivy Birchall on Man to Man podcast. So this has been our really unorganized podcast. First one we've done in a week and a half, 2 weeks maybe. Just kind of been, a couple of us have been having some internet problems and it's kind of been hard to get together. But we're going to try to get back on schedule. Postings may be a little bit more, little sporadic as they have been in the next couple of weeks, and hopefully we'll get a set schedule going. So be sure to follow us on Twitter at Man2ManPcast. That is our Twitter handle, and we also have a website which is on Twitter, which is listed on our Twitter page. Be sure to look at that. And until next time,